This is our league, and this is your league. From the 55-yard line on CFL America Radio and the Sports History Network.
Stand by, 15 seconds to air. Stand by all cameras and videotape.
Ready with your opening graphics. Stand by, Howard. Here we come, Frank. Ready, Don.
Stand by audio, your opening music, and roll tape.
Take tape.
It was a different mentality. You could get the sense that it was a basketball community.
The Indiana Pacers on their way to the NBA Finals for the first time in their history.
I remember I went to my first Pacers game. People were nuts. They're blue and gold, and they're going crazy. They believe the Pacers are going to win it every year. And it didn't matter how good the Colts did. They were fired up for basketball.
When he talked about Indiana in Indianapolis, it was Bobby Knight usually first, Reggie Miller and the Pacers, and then who was going to win the Indy 500. And Colts kind of came last.
The Colts had been last in the Indiana sports hierarchy since they arrived in 1984. When they packed up the Mayflower and moved from Baltimore, Johnny Unitas and the 1970 Super Bowl champs were distant memories. Instead, they brought along more recent traditions of losing and poor draft choices. Twice in a decade, the organization used the #1 overall pick on a quarterback.
Baltimore selects quarterback John Elway of Stanford.
Elway orchestrated a trade from the Colts, who probably wished they had done the same with the top pick in 1990, Jeff George. In 1998, the Colts again held the first pick, and again they targeted the quarterback. It would be either Washington's Ryan Leaf or Tennessee's Peyton Manning.
I had a meeting with Jim Moore and Bill Polian. Both these guys are intimidating guys, and I am nervous. I mean, don't get me wrong. And I said, look, here's the deal. I'd actually probably like to come here to Indianapolis, but I will say, if you don't take me, I'm going to kick your butt for the next 15 years. And I said it, and I remember, Polian kind of going, just kind of thinking like, well, maybe we ought to take this kid or whatever. And I didn't say but either.
With the first pick of the draft, the Indianapolis Colts select Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning didn't need to look far for advice on playing for a losing organization.
Who's your favorite football player, then?
My dad.
Your dad's your favorite football player, too? Well, you're on the right track. You're going to be a football player when you grow up?
Mm-hmm.
Dad Archie played 10 seasons in New Orleans, never finishing with a winning record.
He told me, obviously you don't want to struggle, but be prepared that the team may struggle. And that certainly was the case with the Colts. I know he was real excited that I was going to play as a rookie. That experience really helped me going into my second season.
Peyton proved to be a quick learner. After a 3-13 rookie season, the Colts improved to 13-3 in his second season. Former Buffalo Bills general manager Bill Polian had built a team much like the Cowboys teams that had dashed his Super Bowl dreams. High-profile superstars at the skill positions. But he had also built his team with the unwanted. The 2006 team included 17 undrafted free agents. Among them, Pro Bowl center Jeff Saturday. Labeled too slow and too small coming out of North Carolina, Saturday went undrafted in 1998 and signed a free agent contract with Baltimore.
I walked in the offensive line room and looked over, and I just looked up at everybody, looking at how enormous all these men were, and knew that wasn't going to be a good fit. So my career lasted about 2 weeks in Baltimore, and I called my wife and told her, got good news and bad news. Good news is I'm coming home. Bad news is I got cut. I got a job with an electric supply company of North Carolina.
A year later, Saturday signed with Indianapolis, where he developed a bond both on and off the field with Peyton Manning.
Two guys who are very, very competitive. They know what they're doing. They support each other, and they know that they have to be on the same page for it to work. But at the same time, you got two very smart guys who will have some clashes at times.
We're playing the Rams on Monday night. We got down there pretty close to the end zone. Damn it! We threw the ball 3 times in a row and incomplete and had to kick a field goal.
We came off the field and we exchanged words of how we thought it should get done.
And Jeff comes off and says, we need to be running the ball down there. And I just snapped.
Hey, quit calling the plays, all right?
Hey, we got to run the ball.
When we pass blocks, we'll run the ball.
Can we run it down there?
Just play
We
center.
run it down
Yeah,
there.
Jeff,
Okay, so
we will. All right, when we call pass plays, block.
I was totally outmatched, size, strength, you name it.
No, he's calling plays.
Go sit down.
He's calling plays. I will sit down. Don't quit yelling.
Hey, go sit down.
No, we're cool, but y'all quit
Don't come
yelling.
over here telling us how to block.
He's doing it.
Come on, okay.
He's yelling at us.
You don't have to go yet.
No.
Come on.
I think he felt good about his workout that week, so he felt good about himself. The minute it was done, it's done for both of us.
The thing I like about it is you tell each other. You don't call a press conference and tell the media.
I'm mic'd up, too. I'm mic'd up.
You're mic'd up?
Oh, yeah.
Shut up.
No, I am. They're going to have it. It's good. It was better than Desperate Housewives.
If Jeff's got a problem, he comes to me. If I got a problem, I go to him. And it's not always going to be this pleasant conversation.
Ready to go.
It's that healthy, conversation, I think, that kind of makes you respect him and hopefully makes him respect me even more.
Regardless of what's said on the field or during a game, we all know it's for one goal.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
That's awesome.
Good job. Good job.
Behind Peyton Manning, the Colts had gone from league doormat to title contender in just one season.
The first thing was to get the Colts from being what I call a circled win on the schedule. When the schedule comes out and the coaches go, all right, we got Indy here, that's a win. We play Green Bay, that's going to be tough. Oh, we got Indy again, that's another win. That's what the Colts were.
But after winning a division title in 1999, the Colts made a quick exit in the playoffs.
I remember watching Eddie George hit a big run on us and thinking to myself, the game's kind of put out of touch. it was the beginning of many, many hurtful losses.
Handoff, Lamar wrapping up the ball with both arms.
After yet another early playoff departure in 2000. And a 6-10 season the following year, the Colts fired Jim Mora. They set their sights on Tony Dungy, who had himself been fired for too many playoff failures.
You know, I wasn't sure what was going to happen after I left the Buccaneers, and I got a call from Jim Irsay, and he left a message on my machine saying, hey, I want you to be our coach. I believe you can take us to the Super Bowl, and call me back.
The coach with the defensive reputation joined the team with the explosive offense.
I felt like it was a perfect fit. I said, hey, here comes this defensive guy who's going to get our defense in the top 10. Our offense will stay the same. The sky's the limit.
We come into the first meeting, and everybody's kind of excited because we're there for the first time, and there's a lot of noise going on, and I just kind of stayed there and waited.
You know, as you're kind of looking around and you're having your small conversations, you kind of look, hey, here's the head man, and he had to say a word, but I'm sure he's looking at me talking.
And finally the noise dies down after a while, and I said, hey, I'm Tony Dungy. I'm your new coach. I just want to get your attention. This is the way I'm going to talk to you all the time, win or lose.
I remember just being impressed at that first meeting. He just sets it up in a way where you don't want to disappoint him. And I think as a result, guys lay out for that catch, or they make that one-handed tackle, or they get that extra block because they don't want to disappoint their head coach.
Well, there was plenty of disappointment in Dungy's first season. The Colts made it back to the playoffs, but the result was the same as the 2 trips under Mora, a first-round exit. This one even uglier than the others.
I think that put some doubt in people's minds. That was the first time I began to really take notice of the history and the reaction of people. Oh, it's just like it's always been. We've never won a playoff game. The last thing I told the team in the team meeting was, hey, we're going to get a lot of shots from the outside. We've got to stay together, make sure we support each other, and make sure we don't have any ammunition that comes from inside of us.
Dungy's message didn't reach every player.
You know, all week before the Jets game, I'm like, 18, we're going to handle it. Me and you, we're going to win this game. And he's like, well, yeah, okay. I'm like, Peyton, come on, show some enthusiasm. You're the quarterback. We need to win this game. And I just don't see it from him. Some guys have it, some guys don't, And Coach Dungy, he's just a mild-mannered guy. He doesn't get too excited. He doesn't get too down. And I don't think that works either.
When Mike made those comments, at first, I'm very disappointed. When we got back together in the spring as a team, I talked about what happened, addressed it, and said, hey, this is what we've got to guard against. As we go down the line in the future, we're going to have disappointments, but we've really got to stay together.
The team would have its fair share of opportunities to stay together. The next 3 years ended with more misery. 2 straight playoff losses to New England. Then, after starting the 2005 season 13-0, the Colts were one and done after a home loss to Pittsburgh.
Vanderjagt kick is on its way. That kick is long enough, high enough, and it's no good. He missed it.
The GM that couldn't win the big one in Buffalo, the coach that couldn't win the big one in Tampa, and the quarterback that couldn't win the big one at any level, together, they couldn't win the big one at Indianapolis.
The Steelers celebrate on the field, and look at the dejection on the Colts.
We came back from the Pittsburgh loss. I felt awful. My son starts running around the house. He ran back up to me. He said, Daddy, I heard you lost to the Steelers. And I said, yeah, son. I said, we lost, and Daddy's pretty sad because when you lose at this time, it means my season's over. And I thought, he's going to give me a, Dad, I love you, thanks anyway. And he looked at me and said, woohoo! We can go play football in the basement.
The Colts were hardly a team in need of perspective. Just weeks before the loss to Pittsburgh, Tony Dungy's 18-year-old son, James, took his own life.
It's all well and good when everything's going good, but when tragedy strikes, it's how does a man handle it? And the way he did, and he kept that same vision the whole time through everything. We're not talking about an injury. We're talking about the loss of life to a kid who's been on our sideline. It was a very difficult thing for us.
You find out what the priorities in life really should be. I mean, is that 3rd and 5 really that important? We tried to be there during that time for our coach, try to be there to support him any way that we could. So did that have an effect on the rest of our season? I don't think it did, but it did have an effect on our team just emotionally, because it's nothing to prepare you for something like that.
In July of 2006, Dungy made the trip to training camp alone for the first time in his career.
That was different. It really was. And, you know, my oldest son wasn't there, obviously. My middle son is now playing high school football, and so he's at his camp and not coming, and I'm going up by myself.
The championship reaction on defense now. Championship reaction.
I just thought about maybe this is going to be a completely different year for us all the way around.
When the season began, things looked the same in the win column.
Dallas Clark's got a touchdown! Dallas Clark got a great rollout by Peyton Manning!
How they were winning was definitely different.
Intercepted by Dark! And the Colts should have this one nailed down.
We weren't blowing teams out. Even though we were winning them all, we knew we were just on the cusp of losing a lot of those games.
What about Sting? Touchdown! Peyton got in, touchdown!
And the Colts have won a dramatic come-from-behind victory.
That's the way to finish!
Nice ball, baby. Nice ball.
The Colts became the first team ever to start 9-0 in back-to-back seasons, and they appeared to be steamrolling towards another #1 seed. But Dungy saw dark clouds that were about to storm on a perfect season.
We played Tennessee at home, and they ran for 185 yards or so, and they asked me how would I characterize the defense, and I said, well, we just played a little soft against the run.
Which that really took everybody. I mean, that was a media term, not a head coach's term.
Of course, the headline comes out, Dungy calls defense soft. And our defensive players weren't too happy about that.
For a team branded as a perennial postseason loser, the regular season had become a formality. Their first loss of the year was greeted with a yawn.
You're never happy losing, but I was not too mad when we lost, because now that could put the focus back on just doing things the right way, getting ourselves ready for the playoffs. We wouldn't have to hear about that undefeated talk in December and going into January.
First time all year the Colts have gone on 4th down. Incomplete. The Cowboys defense has held the Colts on downs.
I don't care. Get to the playoffs. Let's win the Super Bowl, because that's our only goal, our only mission as a team. If we went 16-0 and went 0-1 in the playoffs, it's all for naught. It doesn't mean a thing.
Figure a way to stop the run, I don't even want to look forward to the end of this year. This is not good. It is not a pretty picture. It has gotten absolutely out of control.
Sure, it was becoming a little bit of a concern, because you couldn't, not realize it, because it's all everybody was talking about. And then you do see the rankings, and we're last in the league against the run.
Tony Dungy had been brought to town to fix the Colts' defense. His roots trace back to the 70s Steelers, where he had won a Super Bowl as part of one of the great defenses of all time. As a head coach, Tony had transformed the Buccaneers into a defensive power. Similar success had eluded him in Indianapolis.
I was getting a little frustrated that we weren't getting off the field, getting the ball back for our offense. And everybody's saying no one's gone to a Super Bowl with the lowest ranked run defense. No one's gone to a Super Bowl with these type of stats.
The Super Bowl was the last thing on anyone's mind after a Week 14 loss to Jacksonville. The Colts were torched for 375 yards on the ground.
I remember being on the sideline here in Jacksonville and watching them run wild.
The Colts just can't tackle anybody. They cannot tackle anyone.
Every time they would run the ball, getting 8 and 10 yards a clip, it was a humiliating defeat.
Anytime a game like that happens, you have some doubt. The big thing was to not have the players fall into that state of questioning and do we need to do something different? No, we don't need to do anything different. If anything, we're going to do less and not add more.
The Colts were the only NFL team that allowed every opponent to rush for over 100 yards. Their first-round bye in the playoffs had disappeared.
Houston was not a very good team, and the way they ran the ball on us, and we lost that game.
Looks good. Game over. Houston beats them 27-24. The Colts have lost 4 straight on the road and have nobody to blame but themselves.
That was a low moment for me.
The Colts had finished 12-4, AFC South champs for a 4th straight year. But unlike past seasons, they were no one's hot pick to be holding the Lombardi Trophy when the playoff dust settled.
I remember thinking, man, you got to go on the road to probably 2 of the 3 games. That's so tough. It definitely looked bleak.
Until that defense rises to the occasion and can slow some people down, the Indianapolis Colts are going to watch every single Super Bowl just like you and I are going to watch it from home.
I usually don't use bulletin board material, but I was tempted before that game to put some things up there and play some videos from some of the experts, but I didn't. I just went in and said, hey, here's what people think. Here's the reality of the situation. Here's what we got to do.
He said we probably won't hold the best back in the game to 17 yards.
No running back had run for more yards over the past 2 seasons than Larry Johnson. A big day against the Colts' lowly run defense was a given.
Our defense shuts them down. They're flying all over the field. And after the end of the game, we all came up after the Kansas City game, and Tony said, well, you know, we played a good football game. We got a lot of work ahead of us. And I remember one of the defensive players going, yeah, we didn't hold them to 17 yards, but we held them to 21. And everybody in the locker room went nuts.
Colts on 3, 1, 2, 3. Colts.
They had a chip on their shoulder. They've been talked about. We've been talked down to. We weren't good enough to do this. You knew they were pumped about what they had done and that you knew they had the capability of continuing to do it. Anytime guys are fired up and excited like that, it's contagious for your entire football team.
Well, if the Colts knew it, they were the only ones. How does the NFL's worst-run defense suddenly become the steel curtain reincarnated?
There was no magic formula, no new things. It was just playing a little bit sharper than we'd played the last few weeks.
It's hard to explain what happened in the playoffs. To say that they went from the last in the league to probably arguably the most dominant defensive team against the run in playoff history, I can't explain it.
Safety Bob Sanders' return was a major boost to the defense. Since training camp, the third-year pro had suffered from various ailments. He had appeared in just 4 of the team's games.
It was a tough year, and especially with the defense struggling because he knew he could make a difference.
What more can you ask for? We're going to do it, baby.
Games he'd come back and play, he'd play well, and we'd play a little bit better. and then he's out for another stretch. It was very, very frustrating. That was one of the things we were worried about in the playoffs. We knew we'd have him for the Kansas City game. We pointed towards that. But now what was going to happen the next week? Would he be able to go again? And we really weren't sure.
The following week, Sanders and the defense would again be tested by the Ravens. But the Colts were facing more than those wearing Ravens uniforms.
The fans hate us down there. They were upset about Irsay moving the team.
Yeah, the bus ride was brutal. A lot of middle fingers, a lot of some body parts, you name it. Part of me was like, hey, I was 8 years old when they moved, right? Get off of my back. I mean, our owner's sitting up there. You know, that has nothing to do with me.
I made the statement to our players, none of you guys were around when we left Baltimore. This isn't a history lesson. This is us just going in to win a game. We're not playing against the animosity of the town. We're not playing against memories. We're playing against the Baltimore Ravens.
And Peyton Manning well understood that points would be at a premium against the vaunted Baltimore defense. Surprisingly, it was not film of the Ravens he would study to uncover the key to victory.
In the first round of the playoffs, I watched on TV, I watched the Patriots versus the Jets, and the Jets had a package like the Ravens did. They had a multiple movement, guys just kind of moving all around, safeties up, safeties back package. The Patriots were doing a lot of no-huddle stuff against the Jets, and it really worked.
Caught by Falcon, he waltzes into the end zone. Touchdown!
And I just kind of made a note that, that this has some real merit to it, this type of plan. It's a copycat league, this NFL. That little thing, that little quick count here play, the quick play here, there, I think it made a difference and helped us somehow get a win in that game.
The Colts not only used the Patriots' game plan to beat Baltimore, they used their kicker. Adam Vinatieri became a Super Bowl hero in New England, establishing his reputation as the game's greatest clutch kicker. He jumped to Indianapolis in the offseason, and against the Ravens, he did exactly what he was brought in to do.
It hit the crossbar and went over! A 51-yard field goal!
You know, getting Adam, you thought about it all year that you've got a clutch guy and you're going to need him at some point, and now you get to a game where it's 5 field goals, and he did, in fact, make the difference. Just said, I kind of know what Bill Belichick feels like with money in the bank now.
The following week, Dungy would get his chance to finally beat Bill Belichick.
I wanted to play New England. For us to get to the Super Bowl, you just felt we were going to have to beat those guys.
I've never said I don't want to play the Patriots, but every time I play them, I don't sleep real well that week because I know what kind of challenge it's going to be.
Our night, our team, baby. This is what we do. Defensive line.
Nothing like your nemesis in the AFC Championship game again.
It's like somebody said, you know, aren't you glad you're playing the Patriots at home? Isn't this the way it should be? I'm like, no, I'm really not. I mean, I think I would like to have played Oakland or somebody, the team. I think they had the worst record in football that year. That would have been a fine with me.
I wanted to play New England to finally get there and do it, you know, and erase those disappointments.
The last time the Colts met New England in the playoffs, their high-octane offense was held to 3 points in what amounted to the most miserable day in Peyton Manning's career.
One of those games that will always, really hard to get over. You're one game away from your goal, from the Super Bowl, and we knew it was going to be tough up there on the road, but we felt like we should have beaten them in the regular season, and felt that we were good enough to go up there and win that game. And I really felt responsible for the reason that we didn't win that game.
The Colts are not known for rah-rah speeches, but one veteran who'd been through 6 painful losses felt it was time to say something.
Jeff Saturday gave us a great speech.
It was the most nervous that I had been in my career.
He cited him, so I guess it's not plagiarizing, but he used the speech from that movie Miracle from the 1980 U.S. Olympic team. This is our time.
I compared the Patriots to the Russians, who had been undefeated and won all this thing, and how they're the greatest team. And I said, there's no doubt this is our time. And I just looked at the guy and said, understand it's our time.
Be sick and tired of being sick and tired. That's right. Like Jeff said, tonight is our night. That's right, baby.
Back to throw, fires near side. Intercepted! Left side! Asante Samuel, 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Asante Samuel!
Now it's 21-3, and I'm going, this is supposed to be our time, though, right? We need this to be our time, and our time is running out.
When it's 21-3, I'm thinking to myself, oh, my goodness, I thought it was our time. What is going on? Anybody who says they didn't have any doubt, they're lying, man. The only guy who may not have any doubt was Dungy.
And I went over to the offensive guys on the sideline. I said, hey, it's still our time. I promise you we're going to win this game.
He kept walking up and down and looking at me and telling every guy, it's still our time. He stayed with that line much longer than I would have stayed with it. I'd have bailed out.
And he wasn't just saying it just to say it. I mean, he truly believed it. And you know what? If he believes it, then we need to believe it.
Give us to Dominic off the left side.
Murray will fumble the ball. Touchdown. They say the Colts got it. The Patriots thought they had it. Jeff Saturday got it.
You felt like, oh, man, now we're starting to get some breaks.
The game that was once a blowout took on a seesaw nature. A shootout between the game's top two quarterbacks. It nearly lost one of its gunslingers.
I'm doing whatever I can to complete this pass, and I got down the left sideline, and I throw it, and boy, it comes right down on the helmet. I know right away, I said, this is not good. And the fingernail had bent back, so I'm, sucking the blood off my hand. I try to throw a couple, and I'm going, just ugly looking passes. I'm asking myself, what's fair to the team? What if I get out there and Reggie Wayne's wide open, and I want hop it to him because of my thumb? That's selfish on my part. So I tell Sorgi, I said, get ready.
And I was like, wait a minute, hold on, man. We're in the championship game. We're tied. And I looked, I was like, brother, you got to go.
Manning did go and received the opportunity he had dreamed of.
When you're a little kid growing up in the backyard, the 2-minute drill to go win the game and to go to the Super Bowl.
With a career-changing chance in front of him, Manning took the advice of a backup tight end.
Brian Fletcher is our tight end. I call him the suggestion box. He's always making suggestions.
We can get a seam roll. I'm about to pump him outside and go in. Swinging around the horn. Yeah.
He thinks he should be the offensive coordinator also. He's always got these brilliant ideas of plays. All of them, coincidentally, feature him as the primary receiver. He says, I can get this guy on a pump route.
Louisville Crane, get open.
Usually I'm just kind of like, hey, please, I don't have time for these suggestions. If Marvin has a suggestion or Reggie has a suggestion, I'm going to listen. But Fletch, you haven't really earned your stripes quite yet. You're a second-year tight end. But I kind of go, you know what? It's actually not a bad idea.
Throws up the middle. Incomplete. Boy, that was right in the arms of Brian Fletcher.
He comes back, to his credit, as opposed to going, all right, I'm sorry, I'm done making suggestions. He goes, I can beat him on a corner route. I'm going, are you kidding me? You're coming back with another idea? I mean, this is not exactly a practice or a preseason game. And so all of a sudden, I kind of dinged. I went, you know what? This actually is a really, really good idea.
He's going to throw one downfield intended for Brian Fletcher. He's got it. It gets out of bounds at the New England 37-yard line.
So we huddle up again, call a little slant route to Reggie. He catches it, breaks a tackle. I'm going, man, this is good execution right here. And all of a sudden I see that ball come up in the air. And it just goes up in slow motion. I mean, Brewski's right there. Samuel's right there. There's like 5 Patriots right there, and it's just Reggie. I'm just going, this can't be how we're going to lose this game right here. And somehow, I mean, they got their arms all around it. He reaches up and grabs it back and pulls it back in. It's just...
The plan was to go back to Reggie Wayne.
I said, Reggie, can you beat him on the slant and go? He said, I can beat him. I promise you I'll beat him. I said, all right. And Marvin, of all people, says, I think we need to run it. And everybody is like dumbfounded.
Marvin Harrison wants the ball every play he can get it. So for him to say, let's run it.
Of course, the offensive line, this is music to their ears. They're all going, yeah, Marvin is running. So I kind of said, you know what, that is a good idea. Let's run it and see what happens.
The pass first Colts ran the ball 3 straight times. Jeff Saturday helped finish off the drive by clearing a path for rookie Joseph Adai.
Joseph right up the middle, touchdown! He ran right up the middle and scores with a minute left.
I remember right then I was looking at the clock and I said, they still got 2 timeouts and they got over a minute to go and they got Tom Brady at quarterback. I mean, this is kind of where he's made his mark. I've never done this before, ever in my life. I've never prayed during a game. I'm just kind of watching that scoreboard, and my hands just sort of kind of just came together on their own. So I'm in ultimate praying position. And I bent my head down, and I just said, dear Lord, if one time you can just not let Tom make this comeback drive and allow us to win this game of the Super Bowl, that would be a good thing. Amen. Probably added in there that Tom's already got 3 Super Bowl rings, and he probably doesn't really need another one at this point. So I tried to make it a fair prayer.
Either Peyton's prayer was answered, or this really was the Colts' time.
Disappointments that you have, I think when you finally do win as we did, those disappointments made it all that much sweeter, and I realized we had to climb the mountain.
When the confetti stopped flying after the Patriots game, everybody hung out that night, went over to Peyton's house for a little while and enjoyed ourselves and celebrated. The next day it was business, and we knew our goal is still not accomplished.
One game remained between playoff failure and Super Bowl champion. Peyton Manning had a chance to separate himself from one of his boyhood idols.
In 1984 was when my dad retired and Marino was just coming into the league, and so he took over for my dad as my favorite player.
Manning had been linked with Dan Marino since he began following him. His first career start came against the Dolphins and Marino. He broke Marino's single-season touchdown record in 2004. He has long been mentioned together with Marino as the best quarterbacks to never win a Super Bowl. And on the day, he hoped to end that comparison. He drove down Dan Marino Boulevard to Marino's old home.
Every fan is on its feet here at Miami Dolphins Stadium in Miami, Florida. Super Bowl 41 about to commence.
Tony Dungy was also hoping to blaze a new trail. He'd won a Super Bowl as a player in Pittsburgh. Now was his chance to win one as a coach, but he was representing more than himself or his team or even his town. He and Bears coach Lovie Smith were the first African-American coaches to reach the Super Bowl. To become the first African-American coach to win a Super Bowl, Dungy would have to overcome his game-opening decision to kick to the league's best returner.
I wanted to kick off to Devin Hester and send a message that we weren't afraid of him.
Vinatieri on the approach, flat palms popping here in Miami.
And I did stand up for the kickoff, but I wanted to see those camera flashbulbs. I've always, seen that. I wanted to be a part of that, watch that. So I'm kind of watching that. I don't even see the ball, land in Hester's hands, and you kind of watch, all right, let's see where, 20, 30 yards, 40, 50. Oh no, 40. He's seeing he's gone.
Touchdown Bears! No way! Devin Hester, you are ridiculous.
And so I'm thinking, whose idea was that to kick it to Hester?
Coach was off to a rough start. His team followed his lead.
First play of the game, I got Dallas. Dallas Clark's on the seam, I got him. All of a sudden, he breaks in at 12 yards, just, runs the wrong route.
Dallas wasn't even ready.
So, Dallas runs the wrong route. We have 2 false starts. So, we've done 3 things that we said we wouldn't do. We said we couldn't make any mistakes, any mental mistakes. We can't have these penalties. We're 3 for 3. And so I'm going, okay, we are really acting like we belong in this game.
Intercepted by the Bears. Ooh, this has been a rugged start for the Colts.
You got nerves, man. I mean, that's the reality of that game. It wasn't anything that we felt like we couldn't overcome.
After proving wrong those who said they couldn't stop the run or the Patriots, it was time to answer the call as a dome team playing in the elements.
Rain continues to fall steady here in Miami. Has been all night.
That was another thing that people didn't think we could do. They thought if weather is any kind of issue, the Colts are going to fold up. They can't win in the rain. They can't win in the cold.
I'm the one that kept saying, it's not going to rain. It just doesn't rain on Super Bowl Sunday. It doesn't. It hadn't rained in 40 of them. It's not going to rain. I don't care what these weathermen say.
The dome team was actually prepared for bad weather.
We had reports that it might rain in Baltimore, so Peyton, a couple days before the Baltimore game, was with Jeff Saturday and decided that they were going to use the wet ball.
We did a wet ball drill, and I give Peyton all kinds of grief because I hate doing it because they dunk the balls in cold water the whole practice and then spray my hand down, and I have to snap the balls the whole time. I get wet. But how it paid off when we got down to the Super Bowl.
The Colts conquered the weather and the Bears.
Steps up in the pocket, rolls away, throws one downfield. Reggie's there, got it to 20. Touchdown, Reggie Wayne!
And they did so with a punishing running game.
Joseph Adai and Dominic Rhodes both have been able to run the ball fairly well against the Bears defense.
The joy of watching our offensive line take games over when we've been called soft and been called you can't run the ball. They're a finesse offense. That brings me joy.
The vindicated defense finished it off.
Intercepted by Kelvin Hayden down the sideline.
I watched our defense shut up all the critics, and I love that.
Down to the 35, he may score. 15, 10, 5, touchdown, Kelvin Hayden.
Go now. Wait for the clock, buzz. The game's over with.
The Colts had been seen as a team that could put up great regular season stats but couldn't finish in the playoffs. I was really happy for us as a group to put that behind us.
The Colts are world champions for the first time.
Amidst all the chaos of so many people, somehow Dungy and I find each other, and somehow that creates this path, and he and I get together and have a moment together, have a hug. We couldn't move. He and I just kind of stand there and just kind of hold each other, which felt real good, just knowing what we had just done.
My son and my daughter run on the field with my wife, and my son gets there, and I'm thinking he's going to congratulate me for winning the Super Bowl. He goes, "Daddy, look, they gave us a free Xbox game," and that's still all he cared about. So at the biggest moment in my career, the kid's perspective is still the one that brings you back home.
People say, was it joy? Was it relief? I guess it was joy mostly. It was some relief in the fact that I don't have to answer those questions anymore.
I think our 03 team, our 04 team, and our 05 team probably had, from a personnel standpoint and a health standpoint, better players. But this team was very resilient. They played together, and that was the thing that made us the best team.
The Colts Super Bowl victory did more than quench the championship thirst of an organization. It changed the entire sports culture of the town it calls home.
When we came 5 years ago, it was a basketball town, and now it is definitely Colts Day all the way.
I think you're always going to have Indiana basketball. It's a great, from Hoosiers on down, but this is a football town now. I guess I'm proud to say I'm a small part of it.